Kia ora, Kerry. Welcome to the Dunedin Stories podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you here.
Yep.
And to share your story with our Dunedin community.
Cool.
So to kick that off, do you want to introduce yourself and perhaps talk about the organisations that you are going to represent today?
Sure. I'm Kerry from Kerry Hodge Photography, a photographer, storyteller and creative. Based in the Otago region. I've recently moved out to South Otago from East Otago, but most of my client work is based in the city and I love coming in here. That is my main role, and my side hustle is I have teamed up with 4 other women to create a women in networking group called Elevate Mind and Business. So we are working with all the women across the region, whoever wants to join, to just connect, support and grow together, and that's been a really awesome journey to be on as well.
That is so good. I love that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Being a woman, being in business and having deep empathy for how difficult it can be.
Yeah.
The more support structures we can have, the better, eh?
Absolutely. And we wanted to make it accessible for women at all stages of their business careers, right from just an idea or working for someone else or working in their own business. We wanted to make it inclusive and supportive and mostly accessible for everyone, and just to bring something fresh to the city in a new way.
No, brilliant.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about photography first.
Yeah, sure.
Were you always going to be destined to be a photographer, do you think?
Well, I had really hoped so. In high school, I studied photography and I was really passionate about it, and all I wanted to do was be a photographer for National Geographic. But I was told that I should probably be a secretary and do something else because there's no money in the arts.
Right.
So I travelled and worked in many different roles, and then I actually found a passion in autism. And so when I returned from my travels, I did a child psychology degree and then started finding work in the fields of autism in whatever way that looked and presented. But then when I became a mother and my son was about 1, I started to notice some very clear signs of autism, and for the next year or so, I talked to the professionals saying that I was seeing it and nobody was listening, until at the age of 4, I was finally listened to by his early childhood teachers, and they helped get the diagnosis. Not because I wanted a label on my son, but I knew that without it, he would struggle to get any assistance in the education system. And so I kind of put my work trajectory on hold then, because living and breathing autism was actually getting me down quite a bit. And so I just started picking up my camera again, taking pictures for fun, and it was a friend asking me if I'd photograph her wedding. And then me telling someone about it, and they overheard and asked me if I'd photograph their wedding, and it's just gone from there. But it's been the most amazing outlet to have something creative and something that can bring me an income that works around my family. Because while I tried with the education system with my son, he's that square peg in the round hole that just wasn't going to fit. And so having this career has been great because I can work it around his needs and the needs of my other son and do things my way instead of working for someone else. So, yeah, it's been really good.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I suspect the child psychology element probably helps with getting people to perform in front of a camera as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps you sort of understand just human behaviour and the way people communicate with each other, and just being able to read situations without any words being said, I think. So that helps me capture a little bit more of the story in each image.
Yeah, no, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Bumps in the road, growing your business. Excuse me, you've obviously gone through COVID.
Yes.
We've been talking about that, of course. So aside from COVID, were there other bumps in the road? That
yeah, absolutely. So many bumps in the road, just because when you're not used to being a business person and you think, oh, just take some photos and charge X amount of money. And then all of a sudden there's taxes and then you've got to get more storage for the photos you're taking and more equipment and lots of learning curves are along the way. My biggest one actually, I was probably, I think, a year and a half in, and I did a couple's wedding, and at the same time that I was editing them, my father had a heart attack and ended up in ICU, and then he died afterwards. And when I finally came back to editing the photos, I had my computer on the bench and it fell and it smashed. I sent the computer and the hard drive away, but I had to tell the couple that essentially I'd lost their entire wedding album. But thankfully, some technology wizards in the North Island were able to retrieve those photos. In the process, though, while I was waiting for the retrieval, I decided to actually own my mistake And on Facebook, of all places, I admitted what I'd done because I didn't want people to not still support me. I wanted to continue growing my business, but I wanted people to know that I was being accountable for my actions. And I actually think that was one of the best things I could have done because it showed a lot about my character. And since then, I have better invested in systems that will prevent this from happening again and learned my lessons and just continue to grow off that and learn along the way.
Wow, that's that authenticity, being honest, being transparent values, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just who I am. I don't like deceiving people, and it broke my heart to think that I'd lost the memories because it was one of the most spectacular weddings. It was out at Hooper's Inlet and it was just absolutely gorgeous. So the day I was able to deliver their full gallery to them, I was beyond grateful and ecstatic for them as well because they got to have those memories back.
Hard to replicate that day, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really, definitely a learning curve, but a positive one, I think, that I certainly grew from. Well, I grew quite a lot from it, so
Do you want to talk about Elevate a little bit more, perhaps, before we move on to the next segment?
Yes,
It'd be great to hear about the other ladies that are involved.
For sure. So Elevate came about through a mixture of connections. When I was just after lockdown, I started promoting local businesses. It was very important to me, and I ran a series called about the businesses in Blueskin Bay where I lived, and it was fantastic. And from there, another creative, Nahuia Crossman, reached out to me. We connected. We ended up forming a studio together and a side business. From there, we worked with a client, Becky Runga, and she was one of our original Arta clients, and she learned and grew from us. And then we just were having a coffee one day and talking about networking and what works and doesn't work for us and our lifestyles. And we thought, hey, why don't we just bring something fresh? We might have something to offer. And so with another fourth member, Alana, we went in, had a coffee, came up with a plan, didn't have a clue what we were doing, but managed to pull off an incredible event. And it was about, we called the event Journeys, and we brought together a panel of women for a couch conversation. And then we had a workshop at the end to talk about the highs and lows of business. And it was so received because often people talk about all the wins in their business and look how good I am and look what's happening. But to have these really successful women at the top of their game talk about burnout, talk about the perimenopause and the effects of it on their emotions and their work, talk about parenting, and just talk about their struggles and how they've picked themselves back up. It was so well received by everyone, and there was a massive, we need more of this, from Central Otago, from North Otago, even from Southland, people wanting us to bring it around. Right. So we've decided to carry on with that, and since then we've been running 3 separate Coffee and Connect groups a month, one in East Otago, one in South Otago, and one in the city. And so they'll continue every month until September, where we have our next event, which is going to be more of a workshop style event, based on the feedback from our community and what they would like. So really looking forward to that and how that's going to shape up.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
The power of 4 women coming together and creating an entity that can achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a good, like yesterday we met to do a lot of planning, and we're all a bit down and everyone's coming out of winter illness, but just being around each other's energy and supporting each other, it's so uplifting, and it just motivates you to just push that little bit harder. And then a random follower of ours has jumped in and said, oh, it was so impactful, and I've made these changes and I've connected with this person. When these happen, it just makes it all worth it. It makes you feel like what you're doing is really making a difference to even just one person, and that's worth it.
I really do. Do you think it's unique to Dunedin, or is there an X factor about Dunedin that makes something like that possible?
I don't think it's unique to Dunedin. We're really lucky. We've got multiple different networking opportunities here, depending on what it is you're after. Some people like the more formal things, some people like more casual things, and we just really wanted a vibe. If I couldn't describe it any other way, we wanted to bring a real fun, energetic vibe, and I think we really achieved that with the first one. And so really looking forward to how the next one's going to shape up and the next one after that, because we know we're not going to just stop at 2.
Was the t-shirt on purpose?
No, I just love this one. I actually got this from a shop in Mosgiel called Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
I love it so much. So
Well, it's good.
Thought I'd rep some local product. Whether
Great
it's made in Mosgiel, I'm not sure, but I definitely bought it there.
Beautiful. Changes around the industry with regard to photography. Do you want to talk about innovation that's happening and around that? And
there's so much happening. What I'm finding with my business is it's very hard to market in a industry where people, I don't want to say undersell you, but they don't market themselves and sell themselves accordingly. They don't charge well for their time, and like I was at the beginning of my business journey, they're basically giving away their time and skills for free. So that's a big challenge, because often people just look at the dollar amount when you are talking about your business and don't look at what it is you're actually providing for them and the skills that you've got. So I think that's the hardest things to get over, is to just get over that and know that someone actually does value you just haven't found them yet. So that's been really good. But since I was sort of trained I had a business mentor, and she sort of helped train me out of a terrible mindset of, just do everything for free, I'll just keep giving away things and it'll be amazing. She just made me realise my worth, and since doing that, it's been really good, because not only has it made me invest in myself and trust in my prices and that my value is worth it, but I've been able to help other photographers who are brilliant in what they're doing, just to see that you're worth more than this. Don't give yourself away for free either. So I've enjoyed that sort of connection that it's brought. I'm a bit overwhelmed with AI. It's really creating some ripples into the industry, but thankfully there's a lot of AI detection technology that's able to pick up if the image is heavily manipulated or not. Concerning with most of my marketing's on Instagram and Facebook, and Meta has their own new rules where they're using your imagery to help train their AI, and I just find it incredibly creepy, and it concerns me if I'm sharing clients' pictures as well, that I don't really want their memories being used for AI. So it's finding our ways out of that and into safely sharing our images without it being used by others online.
And your talent and skill in creating photography, videography, and the outcomes that people pay for, they're not recognising that.
Absolutely.
That's the value that you're putting out there. So, it's I like the word uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. We're all kind of wondering when we're going to be able to find comfort again. And authenticity around what we're reading, seeing, and feeling. And we have to maintain alignment with those values, don't we?
Absolutely. And I think that's what's going to happen. Everyone's in the same boat about AI. And I think when people start realising that whoever they're investing in isn't controlled like a robot, and that it's a real person, I think that's where you have the good connection. And other businesses that I love working with the most is those who actually, want you for you, want your skills for you, and don't just want to go to a cheap AI website and mock something up.
And look, it is a really useful tool for certain things.
Oh, absolutely. Isn't it? So helpful and handy.
It is. So learning how to use it.
Absolutely. But I love the personal touch. And I've noticed in a lot of subscription emails that come through in my inbox, I can hear AI in a lot of them. And while I understand it saves a lot of time, I really love that personal touch. I love knowing that whoever's emailing me is emailing me and not a group list.
I agree. We don't want to be sold to like that.
No, absolutely. And it gives that connection, and that's what I want in any business interaction, is that the connection with the people. And I think that probably goes back to my psychology, and I love the story, but I love the people behind the story too.
I love that. That's great. Poti Dunedin.
Love it. I never thought I'd love it. I grew up in St. Bathans in central Otago, and I went to boarding school in Alexandra. And everyone, left school and were going to Otago for uni, and I was like, I've just got to go somewhere different. And I went to Christchurch and then realised I spent most of my weekends down here anyway. But when I was looking at relocating with my young family from the North Island, after a few years away, we decided to give Dunedin a try, and it's been so cool coming back to it with a different set of eyes other than the student eyes, because student eyes in the late 90s, early 2000s were a bit blurrier than now. But it's really cool seeing what it's got to offer, and been really cool to be involved in it in the business sense, and the different businesses that I work with, and seeing what we've got here. It's amazing. So much talent.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, so I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah.
But shall we talk about some lightheartedness, if you like? But we love food. You're a foodie.
Love food so much. Yeah.
Where's your go-to for a bite to eat?
His and Hers Catering, hands down. Whether they deliver it to my house or whether I go out there on a Friday for their pies, steak, jalapeno and cheese, so good.
Shout out. I've not had one of these.
So their cafe's only open on Friday, but if you get on their mailing list, they can deliver their fully catered meals to you, and each week is a different country's menu. So every week it's different, and it is the most, like, lick the plate clean. It's delivered to you to either reheat or freeze. It's so top quality, wouldn't look past it.
Wow, I want to lick the plate clean by the sound of it. That is awesome.
But my other option, excuse me, if you're wanting to wash it down with a nice crisp beer, is to head out to Ark Brewery, because the food trucks that go there, as well as Jono's beer and whatever live music might be playing, just dream combination.
Yeah, no, we've had a few shout outs for Ark.
Yeah.
It's definitely a go-to, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about local events? Is there anything that you absolutely must go to every year that's in the calendar?
Well, definitely the Elevate events, now that they're on the calendar.
Yes.
Other than that, the Midwinter Carnival, I love the creativity that goes into that, and just the magic that it brings to the city. Also a massive fan of the Fringe Festival. Just love the theatre, love the creativity, love the absolute randomness of it all, and what it brings, and just seeing other creatives and seeing how hard they work in their craft is really cool. And then my other option, because I have so many, would be my love for music and Dunedin's newest music festival, Lobo Fest. Such a good time from its early days to now. It's phenomenal how it's grown, and I just can't wait to see what other amazing acts come down for it. So,
Agreed.
Hopefully I can get to both their winter festival and their summer festival this year.
I feel like we need to do a bit of a shout out for Eric's at this point in time, don't we?
What an amazing new venue.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
just the connection with Lobos, of course, reminded me.
Yeah, absolutely. As a wedding venue, beautiful, and as a business venue, because that's where we ran our last Elevate event, and we will hopefully be running the next one. They're so accommodating, and just had all our needs covered, but just such a beautiful space, and still in the city but tucked out enough where it's not you're not trapped in the traffic and the roadworks.
No, agree.
Yeah.
And female led,
absolutely. Shout out to Millie, but also let's not suggest any more businesses to her. That girl's got so many on the show. She's handling it like an absolute boss. But we don't want to put any more ideas in her head, or she'll never sleep.
But she's shaping up to be a Dunedin legend, isn't she?
Absolutely, and doing it all with a toddler under her arm. So massive shout out for that, because it's never easy.
The Dunedin legend question, actually.
Yeah.
So this is one that people often struggle with, but I doubt you're going to.
Yeah.
If you could share an Ocho hot chocolate or a Bates or an Emerson's, I've been reminded that I've got to do a plug for Emerson's in here too.
Yeah.
Well, the Dunedin legend, they might have passed, but they might still be with us. Who would that be and why?
I actually have two Dunedin legends, and it's Pauline and John Bellamy. They own Bellamy's Gallery, and growing up as a child in St. Bathans, there weren't many people. It certainly didn't have the tourism it's got today. But the Bellamys were a family that lived there, and they just made life so fun. They handcrafted a trapeze and a rocking horse that hung from their ceiling and would allow us to put on circuses in their space. And they were just always so creative and welcoming and doing fun things in it. And they really inspired me creatively. Yeah. And while I have seen them since my days as a child, I haven't had the chance to share a delicious beverage with them. So that would be something I'd love to do.
Awesome. Well, hopefully they get wind of this.
Absolutely.
And, you can sit down and have a bit of a natter.
Yeah.
the power question. If you had the power to do something, to change something in Ōtepoti Dunedin that you think would make a really big difference, for yourself, your business, or the community, or whoever it might be, what would that be? We're building a wee list to send to the Dunedin.
Totally. The roadworks would finish immediately, and all inner city rents for commercial spaces would become much more affordable, because there's so many little businesses out there that are working from home to save money that just need a little bit more visual presence. And I think that if there was more, because there's so many empty buildings, so if it was more accessible, then I really think the city would shine, and everyone within it would be able to grow and have cool things to buy and look at and do. So
yeah, I like that. I've noticed myself that there is a lot more empty shops, or the perception is that there's a lot more empty shops, isn't there?
Yeah, especially since the roadworks, because I know that really impacted a lot of the central city businesses. So I'd love to see it come back to thriving, especially with the new Main Street looking as great as it does. Just to see everyone thriving and businesses opening would be really fantastic.
Right, well, we'll add that to the list.
Excellent. I hope the DCC listens. Yeah.
We'll make them listen, eh?
Yeah.
Get the group of ladies behind us that can force that change.
Yeah, I know a group of ladies. I'm sure we can make it happen.
Very powerful. Anything else that you want to share with the community that might be coming up in this next half of 2024?
Just keep your eye out on the Elevate website and pages for what we're doing there, and keep your eye on my pages for Kerry Hodge Photography. I'm always running different specials and options for people, but also I just love connecting with Dunedin businesses. So any businesses out there, just give me a holler, and let's get your story out there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kerry. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure too. Thank you so much.
Kia ora.